real proud of this, but I've been drinking these while them White Claws. I've talked a lot of about them, but damn, they kind of are nice. By the time I drink 15 beers, I'm so burpy and farty, I might need a spit up. Not a full puke, but a little I drink liquor the same way I drink beer, and that's fast. Then the only nerd around here having fun is me and maybe a cop that gets a chance to kick my ass. He's got his taser out as soon as he shows up. Can't say I blame him. All he's heard is that there's a belligerent drunk 62 Sasquatch running around, and he is unpredictable at best. There ain't no brakes on this train. Them old claws, yeah, they taste about like you're making out with a cat that has a piece of fruit in its mouth. But I can put 12 of them down in a pretty reasonable amount of time. Take me a good piss, it's on to the next case. Biggest problem I see with them, though, is the price point. It's a little ridiculous to price a product that high in such economic times. It's arguably the hardest it has ever been out here for a pimp. Now, one damn case of claws costs you about $20. There ain't no way there's $20 worth of shit in that box.
Welcome back, everybody. Today's going to be a short video, so let's just jump right into it. My name is Ramen Wukong, and these are your weekly Bitoreum updates. Overall, the release has gone very, very well. Thank you also very much for the love and support on that one. I did recently update the Bitoreum generic Linux ARM 64-bit version. It did not have a checksums in it. That was entirely my bad. I just didn't catch it when I made the file the first time, so this one should. If you discover one of these files that don't, let me know. I will remake it. I will do it right and add in the checksum file to make sure that you can checksum your files. I know that is incredibly important in the age of digital fuckery, and particularly when it comes to your money, which effectively this kind of stuff matters. So if you see it, say something. Okay? Also, there has been some things updated to here in general. I need to work on rebuilding the Bitoreum builder to work a little bit more effectively, but it's all good. Website's been updated. Right, and today our big talking point is the promotion. I have gotten a lot of questions, and I do want to clear the air about why I decided to do the promotion this way. So in short, what I'm doing is in the last 2 weeks of this month, the last 2 Sundays or the last 2 broadcasts of this month, I will be giving away a total of 5 Smartnodes. And how this will work is I will hold on to the collateral. You have to have hardware either at your home or a VPS, and I can work with you on low-cost alternatives for that. You can try to do it at home. Just, obviously you will run the risk of possibly getting pause banned more depending on your connection to the internet, but I will work with you with that. Anyway, you run the Smartnode for 6 months and you stay in good standing, meaning that you're not getting pause banned every day because you're trying to run a ghost node kind of thing. And at the end of the 6-month contract, you get the collateral back to do whatever you want. You want to you continue to run your own smart node, bully for you. If you want to turn around and sell the 2 million Bitoreum, good for you. You can do whatever you want. But basically this contest is for 6 months. You lock the collateral in, you run a smart node on your dime or on your hardware or however, and at the end of the 6 months you get the full 2 million Bitoreum back. And I have made some caveats in here to address things that could happen, although they are unlikely to happen, i.e. if in the 6-month term I have to increase the collateral for a smart node, as an example. I don't see it as being a reality, but if I cover the cost of the collateral upgrade, so let's say it's 2.5 million, hypothetically, I would cover the 500,000 required to recollateralize and get your node operational, and then at the end of the 6 months you still get the full 2 million Bitoreum to do whatever it is you want. That's only if the collateral is upgrading, and I don't have any plans to do so. It did come up as a question, so I threw that in to explain that. Also, if for whatever reason I walk away from this project in the next 6 months, it immediately gets unlocked. You get the full funds to do whatever you want with and decide whether or not you want to continue supporting this network. Once again, I don't see this happening, but it was a question that came up. And projects unfortunately do go up. I don't anticipate so. I put a lot of time and effort to revive the Bitoreum project, but in case it did, that's what's going to happen. So effectively, if everything goes well, we lock in the collateral for 6 months, we run a valid Smartnode, and then at the end of the 6 months, you can walk away 2 million Bitoreum richer, right? Plus all the rewards that you collected in the meantime, and considering that there's not that many valid Smartnodes on the network right now, that could potentially be a fair amount of money. Or not money, but fair amount of Bitoreum, whatever. Let's see if I can launch that bad boy. So yeah, the basic rules is that the node status and health, including pause bans, are your responsibility. Obviously, I will know in general whether or not your node has been pause banned, but I don't check that wallet every day. So if you get a hold of me, and the best way to do so is within our Crystal Bitoreum Discord, and say, hey, something's up, I got pause banned, I can issue the command and get it unbanned, and we can try again. But basically what it's probably going to result in is the daemon running on your server, or are you even running the daemon at all? And the answer to both of those questions should be yes, because if you're running the daemon and the port's open, you shouldn't have any problems, but in case you do, I will unban it, and obviously I will be covering the cost of the small fee that it takes to actually hit the ProTX command. But anyway, that is the promotion as a whole. I will be running another promotion on a monthly basis as well, definitely for the next 6 months, probably for the next year. And that is, I will be giving away 2 million Bitoreum to a lucky recipient. More on that probably in another one. I'm thinking at the end of the month, I will pick a lucky winner. Not necessarily at random, although yes, at random. But I do want you to enter in some way, either on social media in general, including more like Blue Sky, Twitter. I don't know about Reddit. Let's keep it a buck. I don't really like Reddit. I actually don't like many social media, but Twitter's kind of a necessary evil. I have high hopes for Blue Sky. I'm not saying it will stick around. I hate Threads. Not a huge fan of Instagram. And I don't think either of those are a good place for a cryptocurrency anyway. I think what we have is good for a cryptocurrency. So, we scroll down a little bit. We got the Discord, we got a YouTube channel, Blue Sky, and Twitter. And I might do something, with including YouTube as well. But basically, I will be having a monthly 2 million Bitoreum giveaway as well. And then I also want to launch a mining promotion that'll be kind of around the time of October, so do lock in for that. All right, that is pretty much it for this week's announcements. Everything's been going well, and I've been getting over being sick and really just hammering out some things that are going to happen in the future, but largely just watching the code and making sure that there are no bugs or errors that come up frequently, which can happen. So far, everything seems to be in good order. The vast majority of what I've been hit up for information is Smartnode issues. So let us go back into OBS and switch over to the Q&A. Alright, we're in Q&A mode now, and I'm going to crack me another energy drink because my ice cold soda water is just not hitting. Give me a second. All right, folks, welcome back. Actually, I think that's a little too quiet. Yeah, that should be about good. I like to keep it at about -45, give you a little bit of music, but nothing that's just deafening out your ears. So the Q&A section is also going to be pretty short. Really what I wanted to do this video was Smartnode setup questions. There were some questions that were asked earlier on, I think a couple days ago, that I took personally and have kind of answered them, and I will try to do my best to restore what those questions were because they were asked in weird ass places. But I know the big one was, will there be an easier way to install a smart node? And the answer to that question is yes. I was already playing around with a smart node installer script, and someone dropped one in my lap yesterday that caught my attention. I don't really understand how it functions right now, but like the premise looks really cool, and it was developed for Dash. So I don't see why it shouldn't work since our smart nodes are master nodes on Dash with a little bit of paint. Like there's really no difference to them. The only real difference for us is that we instituted scaling, both scaling up and scaling down for the LLM queues. That's the only real difference. So functionally, they should work the same. But my script will probably be out sometime this week. And what will happen is the script you will actually run on your VPS or your hardware, and it will probably be for Linux only. I don't really recommend running the Smartnode core on Windows or Mac. I've had issues with it, and I know that a lot of users have had success with it over the years. I haven't, and I can't really recommend something that I myself haven't found success with. So ideally, this script will run on Linux. It will do the setup necessary, and then you'll still need to do the ProTX register on your own machine. But there will be a video at that time explaining effectively the whole process. But yes, the much longer answer than I had anticipated to that question is yes, there will be an easier way to actually start a smart node. The video that came out, was it a week or two ago? I forget. That one was specifically about how to start or how to do a smart node from scratch. So that actually went through, kind of prepping your VPS, collateralizing on the core wallet or the control wallet, as I like to say, which you'll still have to do with this other script that I'm writing, but that will definitely come. So another question was why? Oh, okay. This one was about a collateral issue. And this one was interesting. So what happened was they went to go do the Smartnode inputs or outputs command in their GUI wallet, and they found the collateral index, but they used the wrong number, right? I think the number they were looking for was 0, and they put in 1, and it wasn't collateralizing. So that's one of the things I do want to be aware of, and I'm trying to think of if I have a wallet right now, because I don't think I do, that has a smart node capability that I'm willing to show on air. Let me look. Bear with me for just 1 second. Okay, I'm back, and what we're gonna do is this. Turn down the music just a wee bit. Okay. So this is a screen share onto one of the control wallets that I do operate, and what I'm talking about here is if you type in Smartnode outputs, right, this will show you every capable address effectively that has a collateral amount in it, which for us right now is 2 million Bitoreum, right? So when you do the collateral hash, that's this, right? You would copy this, and then for this particular collateral hash, this is the important one. And this will always either be a 0 or a 1, depending on the input. So in this case, you would do collateral hash this, right? So it would be, that's your collateral hash. And in our case, it would be 0. And for them, what they were doing is they just always assumed it was going to be 1, and it isn't all the time. And this is where you would find this piece of information. And as you can see, these are the Smartnode capable addresses, and I think all of those are, except maybe one of them, I think, just sent 2 million as a test for something else. But effectively, those are the Smartnodes that I run, and those are the collateralized hashes. Excuse me, that's where you would find this bit of information. So I think that's what they were having trouble with, a lot of it, and then that was something that I had helped them. And as with always, if you do have questions, the best place to get a hold of me is Discord. Excuse me one second. Sorry, I am still not 100% over this sickness. And the having to deal with the apple tree that fell is also not great. Okay. Next question. I really should have wrote these down in a text file, and I normally do, but today was traffic getting here. I think it took me an hour to get to the office today, and it's Sunday. Like, there should not be this kind of traffic, and it's hot as shit. It says 92, but I think that's the wrong address. I think it's already well over 98 degrees here, and humid as shit. All right, give me 1 second. Let me look at my stuffs. If you have a question, as always, you can either hit us up on YouTube. Go ahead and leave a comment over there. You can also use the chat while we're live. You can also drop a question in the Crystal Bitoreum Space Monkeys channel while I do these until I create a channel specifically for this Q&A section stuffs. Yes. This one was another interesting one. So somebody hit me up and they were panicking because even though that they bootstrapped, their wallet appeared to not sync. And here's the thing about that. It will eventually. How these wallets were designed, and I didn't design them this way. I think this was a byproduct of Dash, but don't even quote me on that. It could be also Raptorium, as many of you know. That's what we're a clone of. We're a fork of Raptorium. That's where Bitoreum came from. And I'm not entirely sure where this happens in code, but the actual syncing of your core wallet doesn't begin until a block has been found and active by the network. Meaning that, effectively we're on a 2-minute block cycle. So in theory, a block should be found every 2 minutes. But that's not always the case, and that has a lot to do with rot, or the rotation of the algorithms. Let me see if I can, let me bring that up real quick, and that might be a good explanation. Oh, right. Let me, excuse me real quick. Okay. So, yeah, that'll work. I forgot to, so what I mean here is, I don't think this one shows it. You know what? I think this was the one I was thinking of. Yeah, this is. So you see these right here? These are the algorithms that Ghostwriter will cycle through for the next rotation. So that is what I refer to as rot, or just shorten it to rot. Now, because some of these are far more difficult than others, Our average is a 2 minute per block found, but sometimes a block can take upwards of, I don't know, I think I had it pegged one time at like 23 minutes. Let's see here, what's a good one to... I forget all the time. I've had so much of this stuff. I've been helping out a couple other people with projects. Yeah, yeah, so let's just do tail dash F. Oops, Bitoreum Smartnode 1 / Bitoreum core / debug dialog. Okay. See this right here? This is all the in-between time stuff that happens before a block is found. Now, effectively, at some point in time, you will see accept BTRM, right? And this is what I mean, that it could take upwards of 20 minutes. Did I close that other one? I think I did. I didn't mean to. All right. So obviously we're still on this rotation. Yeah, that happens a lot, particularly when I quickly open and close. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's my bad. I should have let it just keep running. Oh well. But effectively, this is what I mean. So until it says like block accept, the text will say accept here, and your wallet receives that, that's when it's going to start syncing. So ideally, it should happen sometime in a 2 minute window. And sometimes it happens much, much quicker, because sometimes, very often actually, particularly when Zpool and Zergpool, who I think are two biggest pools, are really hitting Bitoreum hard for awesome reasons. It's not uncommon that we get a block, like one block right after another, all in a very rapid succession. Now, over about an hour or so, yeah, it averages out to like 2 minutes, but sometimes it's not 2 minutes, it takes much, much longer. Your wallet, so any wallet that has been tried to be activated right now, won't start syncing, right? Because it is waiting for the network to say, yeah, here's the next block. There is a way to kind of trick the system into just syncing anyway, and I think that's with a re-index, but then you will have to re-index the entire blockchain, and that could take a fair amount of time depending on your hardware. So what the problem was is they were kind of freaking out because they had this going on. They're like, well, I turned it off and turned it back on and still nothing's happening. Well, yeah, nothing's happening because it's waiting for this effectively to say active. And I keep talking to stall out for time because I'm trying to show exactly what it is I'm talking about, but it's taking a long time. So we are in the middle of a rot stall, as I like to call it. Excuse me. And this is known about Ghostwriter as a whole, and I think that's why a lot of people, particularly mining pools, are not very favorable with Ghostwriter. I mean, from the user standpoint, yeah, it's ASIC resistant, but because of this rotation or rot, um, you can have a very, very long time. In terms of, like I said, I think the longest one I ever saw was 23 minutes, and I think it's much shorter now, um, because we actually do have a fair amount of people that are consistently mining the coin. In the early days, when I think I just had, what was it, the 4 backbone nodes and like 1 or 2 smart nodes going, um, that's a good sign. That generally means that we're about to pop a block. That's what that normally means. This could take 20 to 30 minutes, so there was a way to kind of trick the system, and like I said, that really resolved around re-indexing, which I don't recommend doing, because on a VPS, particularly some of these slower ones, like this one isn't going to be a problem. This one would be. This is a fairly slow. Yeah, single core. What are we looking at? 2 gigs of RAM, 2.5 swap. And I don't even think that this CPU is all that good. I forget which one this one is. But I've also named it Cheap VPS 02 for a reason. But yeah, and I know this is getting a bit long, but that's kind of the general thing is your wallet has to wait until a block is found for it to actually start, or in some cases finish sync as well. And that also holds true with the GUI wallets. All right, let me close that one and let me go over here. Yes, this is the wallet for the promotion for this month. 10 million in promotion. The 970 was a test for a Smartnode, because I think this was the wallet that I originally started for doing the Smartnode video. I'm pretty sure it was. I'm 100% pretty damn sure. Ah, right. It did happen. So up here where it says update tip best blah 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 blah, and then the accepted, this means that a block has now popped. If your wallet was waiting, this is effectively what it was waiting for. And now it will either start or in many cases finish its sync, particularly if you have a bootstrap. And this could take a while. And this is unfortunate, but is a feature, air quotes, of the wallet as it was designed. And like I said, I don't think this was a Bitoreum specific thing. It could have been a Raptorium specific thing, but once again, I'm not even sure that it was. I think this could have been something going back to Dash or something even older than that. Sorry. Unrelated question to Bitoreum. I do get asked that a lot because I have been helping out over at Yerbis, because, you know, Yerbis helps me, I help Yerbis. But yeah, so if you're wondering why sometimes it takes your Smartnode a long time, air quote, to either start or finish its syncing, it has a lot to do with that. One caveat that I should say here is when you're using the bootstrap. If you are syncing from 0, you don't have to wait for this. The trigger will start. I think it also starts off the same thing. I forget, but I think there's a slightly different trigger if you're syncing from 0. But once that happens, it happens so damn fast, even on slower nodes. I can't talk today because I still have sinus-based issues. Excuse me real quick. That should give me about 30 more seconds of good breathing. But, yeah. So that's what that is. And as you see now, we're popping a lot of blocks back to back to back, where previously we were not. And that's what causes that. You know, because now we're popping blocks at a rate that's way above 2 minutes, where before we weren't. Go back over to OBS. Back over to the Q&A screen. I know we had one more good question, and I'm not seeing any live questions, so either on YouTube or the Discord. I know this is a weird time of day, but it's a time of the day that works best for me. I really wish I could be more accommodating to our international people. Primarily, shout out to Finland. Love you guys, all of you. You know who you are, and you know what you've done, and I thank you so very, very much. Love you all. Sincerely, heart emoji. But I also have to deal with the fact that many of our base clientele is also here in the United States, and even hyper compartmentalizing on that. Most of you are on the West Coast, or in the West in general. So I had to pick a time that was kind of accommodating. And I know right now, what is it? Finland is like 9 hours ahead of us or something like that. So yeah, it's like what, 11:30 at night for them? Go to bed. This is a live broadcast, but it's still going to be on YouTube later. Love you guys. But yeah, in general, let me see here. Oh, this one's a good one too. Is there a way to just up the collateral and not get rid of my node because I want to keep using it? And the answer to that question is no, not really. But let me show you the information that you should probably keep. Right? So this one I don't need one specifically for me. I can pick on anybody's smart node. And let's just pick one that's enabled. Although a pause band one won't particularly be problematic either. I didn't realize it would do that on Windows. That killed my ears. Okay, so the information that I would keep, like let's say this is your node, but it needs to be updated. All right, and let me get note new. Okay, I like this notepad over Windows. So the things that I would say are most important if you want to keep the vast majority of your node concurrent, you would want your protx hash equals collateral hash. Oh wait, no, not the collateral. Duh, that's going to change. Your collateral address. IP, and that's going to be relative to you. The owner's address is definitely important. I don't know why I don't make those one word. And voting address. Oops. Stupid Windows. I'm not even sure I spelled that right, but it doesn't really matter. So effectively, these are the things that I would say are the most critical. So you would come over here, and I don't know why in Windows it doesn't allow you to do this. I know in Linux you can. You can just copy that whole thing. So you would copy the protx hash, the collateral address, the owner address, the voting address, obviously your payout address, but you should know that. I mean, you really should know your collateral address too, but that's neither here nor there. Payout address might actually be important, and then your public key. Now, your BLS private key is going to be on your VPS smart node yourself. That said, typically when you do the registration, and because you are going to have to recollateralize, it's less important for this. So let's put a star here. But the public key, the voting address, the collateral address, and the protx hash, those are going to be important. And the reason I like these is because if you keep these, the owner and the voting, you don't have to keep creating two new addresses for that, and because that will actually make your wallet a little bit larger if you created a new owner and voting address for each one. So what you would do is you would say, oh, okay, that's fine, and this 51, 68, 67, 251 is yours. What you would wind up doing is, over in forget where you go for this. Oh yeah, send. Where it would show up with is right here. It would, it'd be whatever collateral, and you'd have the lock icon next to it. Let's just put that there. You would find that. You would say unlock. You would send it to the, outside of the address, and then you would send the new collateral back to the address and do it that way. Keeping this information before you do that, because once you send the collateral address out of this address here, your smart node information disappears from this over here, so there will be no way for you to get back to this information. So collect it first and then send the information after. Right, but this way it allows you to reuse, particularly with the public key, because if you're not changing your BLS public and private, which you really shouldn't, your public key is fine to reuse as long as it matches the private key that's on the VPS. Now the VPS isn't going to care about the rest of this stuff per se, It just will keep operating and be like, yeah, I'm the valid smart node, and it will register things once you register it in your core wallet. It's your core wallet where this is actually going to become a lot more critical. And you can't just do an update because you're not really updating the smart node. Update's really for unbanning. That's really what that's for. But for updating the collateral, you basically have to re-register the address because you're going to need a new collateral address because you can't send the collateral in split payments. It has to be in a single payment. So hypothetically, let's say that you're upgrading from what was it, 1.8 million to 2 million. You have to empty out the 1.8 million from the address and send a new single transaction of 2 million to your collateral address. So in doing so, you are effectively destroying your old smart node within your core wallet, and you are creating a new one, or controlled wallet, I should say. It did come up a couple of times. So I hope that helped. A little bit better explanation. I know that I had you guys do a lot of stuff without explaining, but that was more so just to get you guys up and operational. I think that was the last question I had. Oh. Okay. Yep. Nope. That is another question for another problem. A lot of problems today. What am I, tech support? I should start charging you guys for it. Anyway, that is probably going to wrap it up for us this week. I know there wasn't a whole lot of information, but the reality is everything's really just been chugging along nicely, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. We did have somebody try and break quorum by registering smart nodes that weren't really smart nodes, but that disappeared. Outside of that, the code is functionally operating very well, a lot better than it ever did on 3.0.2. And there were a lot more things that were solved this time around than I really thought were going to. Did we break some eggs to get here? Absolutely. And we created a fork chain, which was not the original intended goal, but shit happens. Did that also kind of irritate the people from the old Bitoreum network? Sure enough did. I still get the occasional, well, I was going to say email. They're not emails. I still get the occasional bad-mouthing message about that. And you know what? Suck it. I set out to save the Bitoreum network, and I didn't have the original sport key. I didn't have the original dev fee. I didn't have all of these things. So, in order to get from there to here, things had to be done, and the network was just not responding to the nice ways to do them, so I took a hammer and just started hammering it out until shit started working. If you don't like it, tough titty. I didn't see you offering any solutions, and the people that did, thank you. Alright, folks. That's going to be enough for me today. I will see you all next week because I will be having more of a conversation about the promotions as they are coming up and changes going forward. So, until then, spay and neuter your pets. Good night.